Hey guys, how's it going? ItZMuRdA here with a patch note overview for the last patch of February 2014. It's February 27th, and we've got a few things going on. Some camo changes, some class quiz, new sniper rifle, so on and so forth. We'll run through it real quick. We'll do some demos and examples in-game where it makes sense to do that. So first off, I'll talk about the camo consolidation down there, but it is a known issue that a small percentage of people did not have a successful camo conversion, and they found the issue, and we'll fix it tomorrow morning, so no worries on that. They are still working on and have made adjustments to the way logins are processed, especially with regard to the EU server issues, so that should hopefully help. They're not done working on it, but they've made yet another important step towards resolving that once and for all. Well, I guess I'm going to jump around a little bit for the sake of actually showing you an example in game. So first things first, I guess, spawning. Starting the game now puts you in the deploy screen instead of in the warp gate. A little bit more intuitive for new players and perhaps more convenient for veteran players alike. You can always select to spawn at a reinforcement point on another continent if there are no open reinforcement points on your current continent. And the closest spawn point to the squad leader is now available even across different continents and zones. I'm going to show you how that looks here as I hop in. They also made some changes to, or rather introduced a class quiz that you get, and I'll talk a little bit about that and show you what that looks like. But anyway, as far as the spawn goes, this is what it looks like. You just spawn into a deployment screen. You can easily just click on your warp gate if that's where you want to go, like the old spawn method, so it shouldn't really detract from anything more than a second of your time. But for new players, you kind of have an idea of where the fights might be at the continent that you're on, and what spawn options you might have available to you. But if you want to just click right through, it'll take you to the warp gate like it always has. And then here's the quiz that I was talking about. So here you'll see class quiz and starter loadouts. Class quiz has been added to help new players figure out which class to try first. Completing the quiz gives a reward for the class selected, and all players can take the quiz when logging into the warp gate. Couple important things to keep in mind, and people continue to find out things about this. So it may be worth checking out Reddit or the forums or something like that if you have any sort of confusions or anything like that with it. But basically what it looks like right now, and I don't know if it's all intended or not, is that you only get the quiz on one character per account. That's the way that it works right now on live, and that's the way that it worked on the PTR. So it doesn't have to be your first character that you log into. You can hit the Ask Me Later button, and then the next time you log in any of your characters, this will prompt you again when you spawn. But do make sure, at least for now, that you take it on the character that you want the rewards on. The rewards seem to be an EXP boost, a camo, and a gun, depending on the class that you pick. And I don't know if it's intended, but from what I've heard so far, it doesn't really matter so much what you choose in terms of the rewards that you get, but rather just the suggestions that they might make for you. For instance, if you choose close range, you ultimately end up picking an infiltrator. I believe you still get a sniper rifle. I don't know if that's intended. I don't know if that's going to change. But for the more advanced player who's just looking to find maybe a gun that they don't already own to get a free gun out of it, there'll be lists, I'm sure, that people are creating. But it seems like there's one weapon per class, per empire, so far from what I've heard. But feel free to do your research if you're like, oh, I have most of the guns in the game, but I want to make sure I try to get a gun that I don't have. It's possible that there's a gun that you don't have that's on this list, but I would recommend doing the research rather than just taking the quiz willy-nilly and potentially missing out on something. I personally have all of the guns on all 4 of my characters, so I'm not looking to get one from it, so I'm going to take it real quick to show you what it looks like. Close range, infantry, I care about mobility, I care about versatility. I submit. It says light assault. It tells you what you're going to get. 1-day boost, cells camo, pulse RC. You can accept that if that's what you want. So you can kind of just do the trial and error on your own before you hit the accept button. Or you can say, you know what, let me try something else, pick different, and then it just doesn't even quiz you again. You just can pick through the different classes, and as you can see, it's a 1-day boost and cells camo for all of them. With the different items down in here. So I'm not going to go through all of the empires, but basically that's what it looks like. I have all of these guns unlocked, so I'm going to say whatever, light assault, yay. Okay, I got cells camo, so that's cool. Bonus points. I should have also gotten the boost in here, although the boost screen has now been updated. But anyway, that's besides the point. The weapon, I think you're kind of just out of luck if you pick a weapon that you already have. I don't believe there's anything really to be done about that, but it does only work for your first character that you do it on, so make sure you do it on a character that you want to get it on. Hopefully, and maybe they change it so that you can do it on any character on your account. I don't know if that's in the works. I'll let you guys know if I hear anything. But for now, better to play it safe. So heads up on that one. Don't just click all willy-nilly, depending on what you want to get. Actually, having some awkward sound issues here, so forgive me as I just reset that. So anyway, those are those two changes that I wanted to talk about. I'll go through the rest of them. Some of them I won't really be able to give like a solid example of, but anyway, the revive timer changes. Corpses now have a 30-second decay timer. They always kind of had a decay timer, but they were still persistent in the world. They just couldn't receive reses. It wasn't very clear or intuitive to either the player or a medic alike. This is also pretty cool for the purpose of them not providing that foot collision that they sometimes do. But anyway, 30 seconds after you die, you're removed from the world and no longer revivable, as well as successful revives within that 30-second window will give 10 seconds after the revive takes place for the player to accept or decline it, at which point they are also removed from the world, and so on and so forth. So there's a maximum of 40 seconds, basically, before that takes place. If you res somebody right away, it can be as short as 10 or 11 seconds. But I think it's a good change to clean things up, as well as to make it a bit more intuitive, so you know what's going on, both for the medic and the dead person as well. Another thing here for medics, there is the revive icon will blink to give them feedback when the decay timer is getting short on somebody that they might be looking to res. I guess we'll go down here, we'll do some examples. The camo consolidation, just so you know, I'll hop back in on a guinea piggy, our good friend, who helps us out with these videos. Camo consolidation basically, and this kind of snuck up on us, Taylor hinted at it a little bit, but not so much in Friday Night Ops. If you were watching my stream probably a week ago, I said, I bet they're going to do this, and they did. I just wish I had known sooner. But camos for weapons, vehicles, and armor alike have all been consolidated into one item. It makes it 1/3 the amount of things in the depot in that regard. It makes it easier for everybody, I guess. And you have the added benefit of anybody who purchased just a armor camo, just a weapon camo, or just a vehicle camo in the past can now equip them in any slot. So that's a huge bonus for all of you guys. Unfortunately, it doesn't really help me out. Given that I've been very particular to purchase, I don't even know, I probably have like 100 camos unlocked at this point, and every single one that I did, I bought all 3 versions of, so it kind of doesn't help me out at all for the present or the past, but it's certainly a good change in the future, and I'm happy to see it. I just wish that we had known, I guess, a little bit about it. There was a little bit of a heads up once they decided to do it. I guess it would have been bad for business to be like, hey, you don't have to buy all of these camos because we're about to change it. But coming from the perspective that just a couple of days ago, I bought 15,000 station cash worth of every Valentine's Day item, many of which was all 3 different versions of the Valentine's camos, to have them essentially just disappear into the air is kind of disappointing, to say the least. But I love SOE. I don't hold it against them, and I guess we'll think of it as a charitable contribution to an organization that I adore. However, I do wish that we knew about it a little bit sooner, especially given being strapped for station cash after that Valentine's Day expenditure blowout of sorts. But anyway, moving along, you can see them in the depot. If you okay, I guess they're not under that. Oh, I have a section, look at that. Okay, so you can see them in the depot now. It's just camo, it's one tile for any given camo. It's not the armor, not the weapon, not the vehicle. It's a good change, and I'll be happy to spend 1/3 as much in the future. Happy about that, and hopefully you guys are too. And if you're the kind that skipped out on buying your weapon camos in the past or something like that, then you're in luck, because you got a lot of free potential camo usage out of this. So cool deal there. They also finally added in the new sniper rifles that were originally scheduled to go with the infill update. Came out a couple weeks behind so that they could get the tuning down a bit better. I'll do I guess a quick example of the three. I know I did it back way back when, but if you're curious, we can take a look at that. So I am on NC at the moment. I can show you the NS sniper rifle. I'll do that first, I suppose, which is the Vandal. Comes in all three colors, like most NS weapons do. It is a semi-auto scout rifle, or semi-auto. They call it a scout rifle. Interesting. Okay. It has the ability to run a laser sight, which I love, and I personally will be using. I don't really think, being semi-auto, that any of these are particularly useful barrel attachments, but it does have that laser sight capability, which we were missing in previous semi-auto sniper rifles, which I'd love to see get added to sniper rifles in general in the future. But that being said, you know, it's kind of like you know, an Impetus or, you know, any of the other weapons that you see me using as of late. It functions pretty effectively, and personally, once I'm done with scout rifles and SMGs, which I am done with the Araxiums on a lot of my characters, I'll be making the switch over to Araxiuming the Vandal for sure, because while it's not necessarily, you know, a great close quarters tool, it has that mid-range with potential to go both long or short, especially if you run a laser sight on it. As long as you wait for that cone of fire to settle a little bit, it's actually not completely abysmal at hip fire. I wouldn't suggest hip firing out that far, but you certainly can use it at very close range far more effectively than you can the current semi-auto and even bolt action sniper rifles and scouts when it comes to hip fire. So glad to see that. I'd love to see laser sights on more sniper rifles in the future. It doesn't need to make it amazing hip fire, but something viable like that would be great. So the Railjack is the new. Oh, look at that! That looks cool. The new NS sniper rifle, and its big selling point, I guess, is the muzzle velocity and a cat walking on the keyboard and hitting tab. Okay. Anyway. I'm not huge on sniper rifle attachments. I'm still waiting for the straight pull bolt. I don't think it made it in this patch. I didn't see it in the notes. I don't see it on any sniper rifles yet. That'll be a big one for me. I'm not much of a heavy scope user, so I'm actually going to just run this with nothing on it just to show you. But yeah, its big selling point, like I said, is the bullet velocity. And while it might be very difficult to tell here in VR without moving targets, the speed at which the bullet travels is exceptionally high for any gun, even in the entire game for that matter. So you can be pretty pinpoint accurate. Scourge and friends at Future Crew made a fitting video when this was on PTR. But anyway, it's just your standard bolt rifle. It actually has 10 rounds in the mag. It requires a little bit more time, essentially, between your shots, but very powerful and very fast. So if you like your bolt rifles, you'll probably like this one. Be fitting for NC for sure. So I'll hop on to show the other ones real quick. I don't think they actually give any stats here, which is interesting. Usually the patch notes allow you to read, but you can read through the tooltips in game if you're curious about that as well. So the TR sniper rifle is the trap. It has multiple fire modes, so it's got standard semi-auto fire, as well as a 2-time burst and a 3-times burst firing mode, which is kind of an interesting, unique element of it. I'm not a huge sniper, so forgive me for, you know, whatever. It also, you know, being semi-auto allows you to use the close range scopes on it, as well as a laser sight, so hopefully that is something that they're looking to do with all sniper rifles in the future. They seem to be switching that in. So it's got 18 rounds, interestingly enough, in the mag. And you can see down bottom, you know, when you're switching your toggling fire mode, make sure you check in your keybinds, by the way. Actually, don't even know what the default is for it anymore. But I changed mine to X, I believe. Yeah, switch fire group. So this is just a semi-auto fire. Going to feel a lot, you know, similar in a sense to the new NS sniper rifle, with a higher mag size and rate of fire. Even you can actually, if you're very close, really spam a good bit of it. I guess that guy was dead already. That being said, it also has, for super spammy close range moments, which would equip quite well with a laser sight, I suppose, has the 3x burst mode, and I was looking for somebody I could hip fire here. Actually retains pretty decent accuracy during the triple burst, as long as the person's close enough to you, and recovers from the cone of fire bloom pretty quick as well. You could use it for longer range, but it might be a bit, more difficult to control. I guess that's totally up to you. And then you have the in-between, the 2x burst, a saber style 2x burst that you can use for mid-range as well. So a lot of versatility to the gun. I'm not, I haven't really used it in any sort of practical situation. So I'm not necessarily looking to say, oh, this is good, this is bad, this is better than that, or anything like that, but just giving an actual demonstration of it. But definitely go check them out for yourself. Let me know what you think about it, especially if you're a sniper type. We'll see if the login boss works in our favor here. So I'm going to show you the VS one, which is essentially a charge-based sniper rifle. It got changed from my previous preview on it, where you would completely lose your entire magazine. Essentially, you would overheat if you did a fully charged shot. I believe that's no longer the case. So you can hold down and fire a pretty powerful shot, or you can fire it pretty quickly, like you could a Lancer or a semi-auto sniper. So it has the potential to be kind of both, which is interesting. So that is the phase shift. Here's our deploy screen. I'm going to just hop on over into VR again and show that off real quick, and then we'll go through the rest of the notes pretty quickly as well. You've got the typical bolt action, longer range, same as the railjack attachments available to it. So you've got not an ammo capacity or bar, but instead you've got this Lancer looking thing where you can take shots probably as quick as that until you're forced to trigger a reload animation, which clears your overheating, essentially, your bar down there. But if you're patient and you pace your shots, you could essentially never have to reload as long as you watch your ammo bar. Just taking shots. I'm not even trying to aim for the head, I was just looking at the bar for demonstration purposes. But if you shoot at that rate or so, or even if you shoot a few times when you really need to, but then you hold off and you let it recharge, and you can shoot a bunch more times again, you can basically fire forever at a semi-auto pace. Or you can hold it down, charge up a mid-level shot. That one I don't think was quite fully charged, but between the two it triggered the reload. And if you charge completely, you get the one-shot headshot, a typical bolt action, and it doesn't actually fully destroy your bar, but as you can tell, you're pretty close. So a few more quick follow-up shots, and you're going to have to reload. But a little bit more maybe of a skill ceiling to a gun like this. But try it out, have some fun with it. Let us know, let me know, let them know what you think about it. So beyond that, we've got some other new stuff in the depot. We've got voiceover packs and voiceover improvements. So basically you can now purchase VO pack specific to both faction and gender in here, and I don't even know where they're at. So let's do our trusty whatchamacallit. So you can preview it. I don't know how well you can hear it because it's pretty low for me right now because I have my end game turned down. So if you notice the names, it's kind of a throwback to PlanetSide 1, calculating, smooth, tough, gruff, kind of names that were used for some of the potential voices when you're creating your character in PlanetSide 1. So that's always cool to see. So you can purchase an entire pack, and basically that will change your character to sound however. It'll say VS use, female use only, just so you know. If you're buying this particular pack, it's for the character that you're purchasing it on, I would presume. I don't think that they unlock for a character of a different gender in Empire, but I could be wrong. It doesn't actually have the little icon or whatever, so feel free to correct me on that. But you can tell the gender and the Empire on it, so I'm not going to go through and preview all of them, but definitely feel free to hop in the depot yourself and check them out, because that's cool having that offered. Lots of smoke. They also added occasional contextual automatic callouts. I don't believe they're audible to enemies or even people outside of your party, if I recall correctly. I know there was kind of like a almost like a lashing out of the community at why people were, if they were, say, an infiltrator. I don't know if it works in VR at the moment or not. But say you're an infiltrator and you're running around and you're calling out that you're reloading or something. Not so good for being an infiltrator. But I do believe that that it's not audible to enemies and so on and so forth. So you have that to take into consideration. Otherwise, it bothers some people. It doesn't really bother me. It's pretty standard in other games and things like that. I'm fine with it. But just if you hear your character say, I don't know if you'll hear it in here. If you hear your character say that you're reloading or that you killed an enemy, I don't think that it's going to give that away to an enemy, such as to compromise your position. Anyway, just a few other things. I'm not going to go through and actually example all of these other guns and stuff. You can actually, as you saw on my boost screen, purchase boosts directly. I'll go there directly from this screen now. If you don't own it, you can buy it just like you can buy other things from that screen rather than having to go to the depot. You can see icons for player classes on the passenger list in a vehicle. You can preview the horn audio just like you could preview the voice packs. There's been some nighttime on Emmerich has been shortened and brightened, similar to other continents. I like that change personally. They redistributed infantry and air resources around the southern warp gate on Emmerich as well for more balance. They did a UI cleanup on the notification menu and rearranged the minimap area of the HUD. As you can see in the bottom left, I know my FPS counter is blocking it a little bit, but you've got a little bit more streamlined minimap and compass, as well as the name of the base that you're at, the status of it, ownership, your certs, and your EXP bonus down there rather than being above. So I actually like that quite a bit. It frees up the screen a little bit. As far as balance goes, there's been some changes to some weapons, notably the semi-auto scout rifles and sniper rifles. And I thought this was kind of funny because I've been using the impetus lately for the Araxium. I'm actually almost there on my stream, and I was just saying a lot of these things about the recoil recovering, needing to recover faster, and the cone of fire bloom per shot. Because if it didn't have a laser sight, the one thing that I was hoping we would have that you could take advantage of would be the ability to shoot follow-up shots more effectively. Because lots of times in close quarters I'd have to spam it. Even if I'm aiming down sight, and I would still be missing follow-up shots that I didn't feel like I should be missing. So, long story short, the SPR, Impetus, 99SV, KSR 35, Spectre, and Phantom have been improved for faster follow-up shots. There's an increase to damage at range a little bit here, 10 meters further for min damage, cone of fire and recoil adjustments, reload improvements, as well as a hip cone of fire improvement, just flat out standard, not necessarily needing a laser sight maybe, but just improving the cone of fire in general, which is cool. And then there's some specific minor changes to certain weapons, as well as the semi-auto scouts and battle rifles receiving some minor buffs, faster reload, ammo capacity, muzzle velocity, and things like that for them. So if you're a fan of scouts and battle rifles, they've got some more slight buffs going on in there. Audio change to the fully automatic scout rifles as well, for what that's worth. I guess I shouldn't have. I'm having alt-tab issues. Anyway, hopefully the explosions and whatever the fuck is flying by my head in the background is not too loud. That's what I was trying to figure out what was going on. But anyway, bug fixes I think are pretty standard stuff. The only one that I think is worth, before this video gets as long as my infill update patch videos, the only thing that I think was really worth mentioning is the fix to reinforcement spawn points and instant action not working correctly on the new Emmerich. That was something that was frustrating a lot of people, myself included, always having like Raven Landing or the Ascent, even when there wasn't a battle, come up as the only reinforcement spawns or the only instant action. Made it a lot harder to get around the continent. Just as one fight died out to get to another without going back to a warp gate or something and flying back over or something like that. So very glad to see that fixed, and then there was some other specific fixes to certain bases and items, but you can read through them if you want. This video's been long enough. I hope you guys are enjoying everything. Let me know what you think, what you like, what you dislike, what you're looking forward to next. Thanks so much for tuning in. Enjoy the patch, and hopefully I'll see you over at ItZMuRdA.com, where I stream on a pretty much daily basis. So I'll see you guys there. Have a good one.